Hello everyone, my name is Ravi Verma Kumar and I'm here to discuss about my final project for towards ADTA 5550 Deep Learning with Big Data. I have performed image classification using deep learning in which I've used Tensorflow framework of artificial intelligence on CIFAR-10 dataset and then I compared it with the previous CNNs built on other datasets and improved the performance. So today we are going to discuss about my introduction towards the project and obtaining an image or audio dataset and describing the dataset which I used for this particular project, uploading that to a GCP remote server, building, training, and testing a convolutional neural network using the CIFAR-10 dataset, comparing the performance of CNN built on CIFAR and MNIST, then by redesigning for a better performance. So the first task is to obtain a images dataset. So towards or my interest in healthcare industry, I have selected images of nuclei supposed to be segmented nuclei images. So a nuclei is a tiny cellular structure which is used for specific operation of that cell. So this particular data set contains a large number of segmented nuclei images. The images are acquired under a variety of conditions and they vary in cell type, magnification level, modality, etc. So this is collected by biologists at universities and biotechs. So these images of nuclei are derived from random of organized organisms, including humans, animals. So this data set includes or it is built on variety of conditions, including fluorescent and histology stains and magnification levels. So this data set can be used for deep learning classifications or other modeling to describe a very good results in healthcare industry. So this dataset has two types of files. So each image has an image ID. So it has images folder and masks folder. Images folder has an image file and the masks folder contains the segmented masks of each nucleus. So suppose in a segmented image, in that particular image file, you have 10 nuclei. So for each nuclei, you will have a mask. So the masks folder will have 10 masks of each nuclei and they are mutually exclusive. So a mask cannot be overlapped by the other. And also this data set is annotated by broad imaging platform in such a way that the encoded images are for the masks. So the annotations take the form of collection of masks for each image of nuclei. Each mask is a PNG that contains a segmentation of exactly one nucleus in a folder, and in other folder there is a marks for. So this dataset is obtained from Kaggle Data Science 2018 Data Science Bowl competition. So when we look at the image in the dataset, these are the images in the dataset look like. So this image have almost many nuclei. So this is a segment of a nuclei. So walking through the dataset, we have this is the structure of the dataset. So we have all the image IDs. So inside an image ID, we have images which have one particular segmented image, and also the masks folder will have the corresponding masks of each nuclei. That means each mask will have only one nucleus. So it is annotated in such a level that the encoded pixels will represent the masks. So this image ID has the encoded pixels of this. So this is the data set I have collected and it will be used for more in healthcare industry. So this data set is obtained from dataset. It requires a consent or a verification from the user to download, and It has some stages of training and testing. So on a level, it is a big, large amount of images. So we have a train file, we have a test file, and also we have labeling files. So the next section will be this particular data set of this project. So it is CIFAR-10 dataset. So CIFAR-10 dataset, and also you have CIFAR-100, which is 100 classes. They are subsets of 80 million tiny images. They're collected by Alex, Vinod, and Jeffrey. So in whole, this data set will have 60,000 images of 32 by 32 within the 10 classes, and 6,000 images per each class, which is evenly balanced. And this is divided into batches of 5 training batches, each of having 10,000 images, which include 50,000 training images and 10,000 test images. So the data set is divided into 5 training batches and 1 test batch, which I already mentioned. And the test batch is exactly 1,000 randomly selected images for each class. But the training images are not evenly balanced. That means not all training batches have the equal amount of images from each class. But between them, there are exactly 5,000 images of each class. And the classes here are, if you look at this database, this has the following classes: aeroplane, automobile, bird, cat, deer, dog, frog, horse, ship, and truck. So they are mutually exclusive. So there is no overlap between automobiles and trucks. So aeroplane might be a type of automobile, but in this data set, they are mutually exclusive. Automobiles include sedans, cars, trucks, etc. So, I mean, truck is also a different class. So, truck includes the big tools. So, automobile doesn't involve the trucks also. So, this is the official website of CIFAR-10 dataset, and it can be downloaded in these versions. So, now I have been obtained this dataset in batches from my Canvas portal. So, this is what you have already seen. And now I need to upload them into the remote server. So, that is, we are using Google Cloud Platform for our modeling. So we need to upload all the 7 files, 5 training batches and 1 test batch along with 1 metadata file where it will tell you where the batch, how the batches are divided. So now we need to do, what we need to do is we need to upload them into the VM server. So now this is the VM instance which we have running for the GCP. So here you can start an SSH session which will lead to a terminal of that particular location. And then you can use mkdir for creating a folder named CIFAR-10 data inside the existing data. So let us check this. So it is almost transferring that. So once after done, we need to, so this is the terminal. Suppose you look at that, we have a new JPNPDK. So, and then we'll dive into that. You will find CIFAR-10 data. So now if you dive into that, you have all the batches data along with the metadata. So I uploaded this using an upload function of this terminal. So you can upload the files from your computer, and I uploaded them, and using CP I have copied into the created folder. So this is how you will upload all the files into that particular remote server. So this is the output which I have already shown you right now. And now we are building a convolutional neural network. So neural networks are the programmable patterns that will help to solve more complex problems with the best achievable solutions. So, compared to machine learning, deep learning is a step ahead as it helps to train neural networks for getting the best solutions of the questions to unanswered or improving the existing solution. So typically a CNN will have 3 stages. Stage one will be convolution layer, which is extracting the features from the image. The second one is pooling layer, which is reducing the dimensionality of an image. So you are not losing the data and reducing the dimensionality. And the third stage is flattening out into a one dimension so that the computation or calculation for modeling will be easy. And now that is fed into a fully connected dense layer. So this fully connected layer or dense layer will perform the prediction. So the model which is having more layers of convolution will be considered as a good model. So this is a typical workflow which I was using for this project. I'm taking an input image in a matrix format, and there are two layers or two blocks of convolution or pooling layer for extracting and reducing, for extracting the features of the image and reducing the image file and then flattening out, sending out the dense layer or fully connected layer to getting the output or predictions. So this is my build. So I have designed for a two block network, which is two convolution layer, two pooling layer, followed by fully connected. So I have chosen a activation function of ReLU. A ReLU is a rectified linear unit function, which is the best in mathematical operations, and that is used as the activation function for the both convolution layers. And my optimizer for this particular model is Atom Optimizer. Atom Optimizer is considered to be the best because it follows the stream strategy of stochastic gradient descent by obtaining the local minima, and my learning rate is set to be 0.001. And there is a process called dropout approach, which I'm using for preventing the overfitting. So I'll be dropping out some portion of training data whenever I train or feed the network. I'll drop out 20% or 30% of the data to prevent the overfitting. In the final connected layer, my activation function is softmax, which is the best for multi-class classification. So sigmoid and softmax are almost the same, where sigmoid is used for binary classification and softmax is for multi-class classification. And of course, my loss function will be categorical cross entropy. So when we look into the model, so this is how I have modeled out. So first we need to set the path of the data inside the remote server, which I have created. And this pickling is converting into a byte stream. So unconverting is deserializing the byte stream into the objects, which we need now. So we have images and we need to convert that. And we have batches of seven files, which are batches of uh, batch one, batch two, and also we have index for those. And we are using a loop for deserializing all the batches, and then I'm exploring the metadata of the all the batches, which are the classes, and this is the 3070 is the image size, and then I'll be exploring the data. So for this, I have used NumPy and Matplotlib, and here I am reshaping. This is a main step for our convolution because we need to feed the convolution with a particular shape which will obtain the best results. So our 10,000 images, a batch of 10,000 will be reshaped into the three channel 30 by 32 by 32 images by transposing in this type of data structure. And then this is how we normalize to get any inconsistencies cleared in that data. So these are the images in the data set, which is a colored image and not that clear images. So now it's time to create the supporting function. So as it is a categorical multi-class classification, we need one hot encoding to encode the deserialized data into the binary format. And then we created a helper function for setting up the training and testing images. So this helper function will be called upfront of training and testing the network because it will reshape my training length into the three channel 30 by 32 by 32 images by normalizing that. And then also my test images in the same procedure. So there is a function, this function is set up images. Then there is a next batch, so this function will be used to perform the next batch iteration when you are doing the present batch convolution. So this can be called just upfront of training so that the next batch will be ready when this is done. So the supporting functions for the build or train and test the network is initializing the weights of the filter, initializing the bias, and the convolution. Convolution is basically a dot product of images, and it has three types of arguments, which are filter and strides. Strides is moving one by one, and padding is we have two types of padding, same and value. So value is used to not include zeros to the boundaries of the image. So same a type of padding is used to give a zeros in the last layer to give the border of the image. It will not lose any data and it will include and improve the consistency or clarity of the data. So I've used same padding for my dot product, and then I created a max pooling, which is a 2 by 2. So a 2 by 2 window of the matrix. So I'm getting the max of the pooling. So the maximum of the 2 by 2 window will be getting into the new one. So I'm the max pooling is reducing the spatial size, but we are saving the most important information. That's why the maximum of the 2 by 2. And here also I'm using the same padding to maintain the integrity of the image. And then finally, I created a new uh, a function for fully connected layer in which I'll be including all the layers of weights, bias, and done. And then using the supporting functions and my filter sizes of first two layers, I built a two block convolutional network and used the 5,000 steps using 2D max pooling to reducing the spatial size. Also, my first layer will be 3 by 3 input in image width and height, and 3 channel input and 32 channel output. For the next layer, I converted that to 32 channel input and 64 channel output. So for this particular thing, we need to create two placeholders for TensorFlow, uh, one each for training and testing, and then using the upfront supported functions, we create a convolution layers for first convolution layer, and then ReLU layer with the filter shape, and then we go for pooling. We go for creating the second convolution layer with the same thing. So this filter type is, I already explained, 3 by 3 is 3 image height and 3 image width and 32 image input channels and 64 output channels. So this is a flattening window. We got 8 by 8 flattening one by in a one dimension. And then we created a dropout, which I already told you we will be dropping out some portion of training data to prevent the overfitting. And then we are creating a fully connected layer for our predictions. So now after that, we use softmax activation function, which is used for the multi-class classification. And then we use Atom Optimizer, which is a gradient descent, stochastic gradient descent with the learning rate, and then the steps. So before the training, I use the CIFAR to set up the images, and then after the training, I achieved accuracy of 69.89. So that is almost 70% of the accuracy. So the next step is to compare the pre-built MNIST model with this particular CIFAR dataset. So in the previous assignments, I already created a CNN for MNIST, and MNIST is a dataset with black and white handwritten images. So this is the MNIST dataset. So for this, I have created a CNN with the same type of structure. All the functions will be the same, and the filter sizes might differ. We are choosing 5 by 5, 1 by 32, and here we achieved an accuracy of 99.04. So now I need to compare these two. For comparing, I created a data frame and saved this list to that particular uh, variable and that data frame, and then this I saved it as a data frame in pandas. So you achieved a 99.04 of accuracy, but in this case of CIFAR we achieved only 69.89 accuracy. So after comparing these two, the analogy I need to in my opinion, MNIST dataset is a dataset consisting of black and white images. So black and white images will give you more clear boundaries, more clear outputs, and the annotations are clear in MNIST. So that is my analogy behind achieving the good accuracy on MNIST with the same TensorFlow convolution neural network, but you are achieving very low accuracy compared to that of other model. You are achieving 70% accuracy for using CIFAR because you are giving colored images, also annotated by manually labeled data. Also, you have blur images and masks are not clear. So this is my analogy regarding this. So the reason for achieving low accuracy is the colored image extraction, feature extraction might is different from the extraction of a black and white image. So when you're performing the convolution for extracting or pooling, getting the saving the important feature, a black and white image is more and more clear than the colored image. So this is my analogy for comparison of these two data sets. So the next step of the project is to redesign the CNN for improving the accuracy. So there are so many ways to improve the performance of the convolution neural network by tuning the hyperparameters or increasing the learning rate or drop playing with the drop and hold out or dropout layer. Also, you can augment the data. So after trying everything, I choose to the present conditions. Adding one more convolution layer or and one more pooling layer will be more feasible to me. So with the same predefined supporting functions of convolution, ReLU, and pooling, I created the layers for this model also. But the third layer size will be 3 by 3 image with 64 in channels and 128 out channels. So I say I trained at the model with the same number of steps to see how much effect one convolution layer will give you. So to look at the data, it is the same file almost. So you will be training, these are the images and the supporting functions and building the network, but you are creating a third layer of convolution and pooling. And my flattening window will, I will defer the flattening window. Flattening window is something where I need to get in my data into one dimension so that I can view or manipulate or test with play with the data more easily in the modeling. So again, I have kept all the parameters same for this particular uh, redesign because I wanted to test how much efficiency a one additional convolution layer can give you. So upon testing the model or training the model with the same number of tests, I have achieved an accuracy of 73.81. So you have increased almost 4% of accuracy by just including one conversation layer and one pooling layer. So from this example, you can see that when you increase more and more layers, you are getting a good result. So at the start of this presentation, I mentioned a good convolution layer is performed very well when it has more convolution layers and more pooling layers. So this is the redesign which I choose for this particular CNN using CIFAR dataset. Also, there is I tried out data augmentation, which doesn't fall out good. I tried adding batch normalization, which we are already performing. In general, batch normalization is performed when you are increasing the accuracy, but in this case we are taking the batches data and also we are getting the use of helper function to normalize the data before the training or testing. That is the setting here. We are setting the images for training and testing. So in this setting and we are normalizing the training and testing data. So uh, this in this project, for this project, I have choose to include or redesign the CNN just by including one more layer. So even then, when you see in the last comparison, the CNN built for MNIST, just two layers, is giving 99.004% accuracy. But even when we are increasing one more layer in CIFAR dataset, it is achieving 74%. So we are not anymore near to the 99% accuracy. So to get this more at the more accuracy level, we need to include more and more layers or play around with the data augmentation or how you feed into the network. You can play with the optimization functions, the learning rate, and the dropout function. So dropout function is basically just for preventing the overfitting. So by playing with the dropout function, you need to be sure that you are not overfitting the model. So after all the redesign, now we are at the conclusion. So in this project, I have discussed about the data set, which is including a nuclei segment and nuclei images, which I have grabbed from the Kaggle data science competition in 2018. It has a large number of images and it is manually labeled by bioscientists uh, with the use of masks. So each mask will represent one of the nuclei present in that particular image ID, and then it can be used. It is well prepared data set for performing any the deep learning approaches for extracting patterns. I think it might be used for detecting bad cells, bad nuclei, or tumor cells for detecting cancer, etc. So that's my choice of dataset. And the second chapter, we have described about how a CIFAR-10 dataset is downloaded and uploaded into the remote VM, which is a Google Cloud platform in my case. So I have downloaded from my Canvas portal, which is my university's portal, and which is a batch of data. And I use Linux commands for uploading the files and copying it to that particular folder. So then, after I created, built, trained, and tested a CNN model with the two blocks, that means two convolution layers followed by two pooling, which is a max pooling. And then I achieved a 69.89% of accuracy. It's almost a 70% accuracy. Then I compared this model with the previously built model of MNIST. So in the both models, I printed or saved the list of 5,000 steps in 50 accuracy levels, each for 100. And then while comparing both, MNIST is the best one with a 99.04 accuracy, and the CFR is only 69.89. So the reason or analogy I choose to or I believe in is MNIST is a black and white data set and it is clearly marked one. And CIFAR is a data set is consisting of colored images. So this accounts for the lower accuracy. Even in the next step, I have included one more convolution layer and pooling layer for enhancing the accuracy levels of the CNN. Even then, it is increased up to 74, which is no near to the 99% of accuracy. So this is the project I've done and compared it with MNIST, and then I have included. I hope you understand this, and thank you